beautiful thing right now.
Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day. I'm alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to the white lights.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
It's crazy evil.
Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump. I am your host, Jose Galison. It is October 17th, a beautiful Friday morning, TGIF. Sorry I abandoned you guys yesterday. I did warn you, though. I did take a day off. Had some kitty stuff to do. I told you guys that. I have a new litter coming, so I had to... and also moving a baby litter into like the big giant cat room. So to clean out the giant cat room, had to do a bunch of pressure washing, had to pull apart pens, put them back together. Whole bunch of stuff I had to do, getting everything ready for the new babies to come in. So fun times. Everyone enjoys that at our house. It's always cute when we have new kittens coming. And it's always fun to move the little kittens when they're babies into the larger room. Fun times to be had for all. I don't know, maybe go follow the Facebook page if you like kitty pictures. I think my wife also has an Instagram for the cattery. I'm not sure. Whatever. There's plenty of cute kitty pics out there. If you can always ask me, I have some on my phone if you really want one that bad. I do have a fun kitty outro for you guys today, but we have plenty of stuff to talk about as well. We have some updates on the Tom Alexandrovitch stuff. I have a segment I call Kirk JAQing It. I couldn't really figure out how to exactly word it, but JAQing, JAQ, as in just asking questions. So kind of riffing off that. Really, it's just a generic kind of like Kirk update, although we will dive a little bit into some of the more shadowy questions you're not supposed to ask, or you're a bad guy, you're a bad person, ask those questions. And then the Russian JFK Files, and we have plenty more to go through. We also have on the foreign policy portion for today, we have some more details about our Queen Greta and the awful, horrific torture she endured. Not even a drip of sarcasm there. I'm dead serious. She did seem to maybe torture. I guess torture is technically true, although torture to me feels like it implies some sort of like physical. Although she did experience that as well. But point being is, yeah, she had a rough time. We'll go over that. Pretty gross stuff. Plenty to go through today. But yeah, also another warning, Monday, it's up in the air. I'm not sure what time, but I do, my wife has I have a medical appointment on Monday, so I probably won't be here Monday. But I think aside from that, we should have smooth sailing next week. So, and there's also the chance that maybe I just do it at a different time too. I'm not sure what time her appointment's at. So there's all your warnings today. Let's go through a little bit of intro, do a little bit of our what I call our icebreaker clips or stories or videos. I have a couple of clips for you guys to kind of start off with. The first one's just completely and utterly goofy, although it ties into the Teal Antichrist stuff that he's been getting into lately. And I don't know, this is just dad humor here. For those, I don't know any of you guys who have kids out there, I think you'll get the joke. I say get the joke. You get the joke that there is a joke. I don't understand the underlying joke. I don't know. Tell me in the chat before. I guess I'm kind of just ahead of time. What is 6'7"? What is the root of the joke there? Is it just some like meta joke where they're just like the joke is that adults think there's a joke? I don't know. Let's go ahead and play it.
Okay, so first, what is the Antichrist?
Oops. Okay, I know that's super dumb. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea to what degree this is funny to other people, but to me, it was hilarious. I saw this clip in my car, and I was dying laughing. The only person in my car just almost crying. But this is, for my personal life, this is like probably every day to every other day. Just some reason 6 comes up or 7 comes up, and then 6, 7, and I'm like, so, I don't know, seeing my daughter's address and my interests align in this South Park video was weirdly kind of beautiful. All right, on to the next clip, a little bit more into the land of the serious, although it's still pretty fucking retarded, and I'll explain to you why. Let's see what Trump's latest, maybe not latest, I guess it was a couple days ago, but this is particularly on the question of essentially funding the troops during this government shutdown.
Shutdown. You have the money to pay the troops on October 15th. Okay. How is
I actually have a man who is a very wealthy person. I know that when I tell you this. Who called a donor, a great gentleman, and he said, if there's any money necessary, shortfall, for the paying of the troops, I will pay it, meaning he will pay it. How about that? I said, look, we're not going to need it. We're going to take care of our troops. But this was a position that's being forced upon us by Democrats. And all they have to
All right, so the crux here is Trump saying, oh, we got a guy. We got a guy. If things get too rough with the troops, with the old money there, I just don't worry about it, guys. 1, we're going to fix it. We're going to fix it. 2, I got a guy. If for some reason we can't make the whole government size work, I got a dude who's just going to float it out, just to float I don't know, loan just to the next one or whatever, or I'll front you to your next paycheck, just the entire fucking military. Well, that is pretty retarded. Let's see if I can find, I do have here, I thought this was funny, the very wealthy gentleman. Somebody put the meme of J.D. Vance, but in all seriousness, there's numerous people in these comments who are pointing out the math on this that makes no fucking sense. Essentially, this would require $15.2 billion per month. So the idea that we have, I don't know, rich people out there that just float this sort of stuff out, I mean, this is something that makes sense if you do buy into the stupid fucking, like, I don't know, some of the horror lefty nonsense from like 10 years ago. Sure, maybe you do. This would make sense to you. You go, oh yeah, this totally makes sense that there are rich and dastardly. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think there are rich and dastardly people out there, but they have the sort of capital that they can just front the military for a month. No, that's not really a thing. If any of these people try to do it, they would be destroyed within the month. I mean, I don't know what Elon Musk's net worth is, but I don't really know how long he could really sustain just floating $15 billion out to front all of the military members' income. It doesn't seem very likely, but this is probably entirely made up. Anyways, I don't think anyone told them this, and they'll probably get the military paid anyways, but this is just the sort of bluster that Trump likes to float out, but this is particularly retarded for those that math. I just thought it was funny. And then also, I wanted to play this clip for you guys. Watch this, and we have some other stuff to talk about. It.
Interesting. You're like the first to bring up.
Second, sorry.
AIPAC. Interesting.
This is Gavin Newsom. AIPAC came up on a podcast he was on recently. He's been doing pretty good, but he fumbled pretty fucking hard here.
Interesting. You're like the first to bring up AIPAC in years, which is interesting.
I will not vote for a candidate that takes $1 from AIPAC.
It's interesting. It's interesting. I haven't thought about AIPAC. And it's interesting. You're like the first to bring up AIPAC in years, which is interesting. Why did I say that? Not relevant to my day-to-day life.
Okay.
Which is just interesting.
Listen,
it's interesting you say that. JPAC perhaps more, but AIPAC less and less.
Okay. Fair enough.
Which is just interesting.
What's interesting about it?
That it's just interesting as you bring up AIPAC that it hasn't been part of. I'm just reflecting quite openly and honestly. It hasn't been part of the day-to-day.
Yeah. The only reason why I ask is because with that, what I'm talking about is lobbying in and of itself.
All right. Well, that was particularly atrocious, as many people have pointed out. Well, he mentioned JPAC in there, and I think a lot of people were like, what is he talking about with JPAC? Well, what JPAC is, the Jewish Public Affairs Committee of California. That's what he was referring to in that clip. So he was trying to pull the whole line of like, well, I don't know, maybe JPAC. Like, he was trying to play dumb, like, I don't even know what. IPAC? How do you pronounce it? Is it APAC? Like, it was this like vibe of like, ooh, I don't even really know. This never even comes up. That's the vibe they're going for there. But then that's when he's like, oh, JPAC, because that's the thing he deals with in his local area. But the reason Brianna Joy Gray saying here, the reason why he was twitching in his seat talking about interesting in relation to JPAC, here is Governor Gavin Newsom signed legislation making California the first state in the nation to establish a statewide anti-Semitism prevention coordinator to oversee all K through 12 public schools. The measure was driven by the JPAC, the Jewish Public Affairs Committee of California, a robust lobbying network often described as a state-level counterpart to APAC. Keep in mind, he is over in Cali. The J presence is hard. For those who are aware, it's like Cali, is particularly LA, and like New York are like the hot spots. So let's be real. He is a donor creature. He is he's a goy golem is basically what he is. Let's be real. So anyone expecting, but it is interesting though. I have been on record lately lauding. I get lauding might not be the correct word here, but recognizing perhaps the surprisingly good social media presence from the Gavin Newsom team. Essentially, like understanding the moment, but then on the flip side, not understanding the moment when it comes to these moments which count, like this, where it's like, cool, you can do all the memes right and be fun and approachable, but there are, at the end of the day, just certain lines I think anyone who's even paid attention in the tiniest bit, it's just kind of a litmus test, and you can hem and haw, and you can give whatever long explanation, but at the end of the day, what people want to hear is, no, I don't support AIPAC. Netanyahu's a war criminal, that's a genocide. Like, people don't want this, like, well, I don't know, that's a complicated question, and I really think maybe we should all look inside ourselves and really think on that, or whatever stupid fucking political thing we get. People don't want that anymore. They want a very clear recognition of reality. I mean, these things have become so clear that it's just you just look ridiculous when you try to get away from it, regardless of how cool your memes are. It doesn't make much difference. You're going to have to find at least a third position, a Matt Walsh type thing of like, well, I don't even really care about, it's like I have blinders on to Israel. Like, you're going to have to figure out a third position. It's just this playing dumb's not going to work. But speaking of playing dumb, man, check this out. I don't really know what to make of this one. I didn't know where to include this. I thought about including this in my later Kirk coverage today, but this just felt like so bizarre that this has to be included in the little icebreaker videos. It's just goofy. I mean, you're probably gonna laugh at this. I laughed at it myself. It's dark though. What we're looking at right now is one of the many on the ground, in the moment interviews that occurred after the Kirk shooting. Watch this one. Tell me what you guys think.
I heard a loud, I heard a loud bang, which I figured a shot would be a little bit louder, but I just saw it hit him in the chest, and then all of a sudden just tons of blood gushing right out where his heart is, and then he fell over and slumped down, and everybody got down and was screaming, and then we all ran.
Can you describe did he appear to be moving afterward, or what?
Not at all. I personally believe he was dead on impact.
Oh my goodness.
Basically,
oh my goodness. Okay, I mean, maybe for the audio people, this doesn't really, it isn't as jarring, but man, the facial expressions, I mean, maybe you can hear it for the audio listeners, perhaps, but I don't know. I mean, I get it. Everyone reacts in tense situations differently. I've said myself, I'm the kind of person who will laugh at a funeral type thing. like, or not laugh. Like, I mean, like, I'll find I would be the sort of person who'd be sitting in a funeral and just be like really sad and then just have like a weird fleeting thought and be like, I don't know, just a weird way my brain works. Be like fleeting thought, like, and it doesn't even have to be necessarily something funny. It could literally just my brain being like, you know, it would be really inappropriate right now if you laughed, and then they're like, you should really not laugh, and then now me thinking about not laughing, I'm like, fuck, I want to laugh, and then I find myself smirking a little bit. I'm like, don't fucking smirk at it, you know, people are looking. I'm like, this is how my brain works. So I'm like, I can kind of understand, but even with all that, just one more time for effect. Let's go and play this.
Basically, I heard a loud bang, which I figured a shot would be a little bit louder, but I just saw it hit him in the chest, and then all of a sudden just tons of blood gushing right out where his heart is, and then he like fell over and slumped down, and everybody got down and was screaming, and then we all ran.
Can you describe just, did he appear to be moving afterward or what?
Not at all. I personally believe he was dead on impact.
Oh my goodness.
Basically,
I'm like trying to read sadness on her face or something other than just like, what is this weird, dumb, almost glib type of, I can't see. I don't know. I mean, maybe someone will come out with a larger, you know, clip of this. Maybe I'll start to be able to read on her face a little bit more of something, but just bizarre. I don't know. This is proof of absolutely nothing, to be completely fair, but weird. Weird. All right, guys, let's roll through, say our good mornings, and let's get through the foreign policy. Man, we already got well over 60 people with us today. Not even through the Icebreaker videos yet, or actually just finished them. So haven't even gone to foreign policy. Help a brother out. Hit that like button. It'll send other people our way. Trying to grow this army. Get it fucking big as fuck. Good morning. Nemo Liberty says, I've been following the Alexandrovitch story super closely since it's happened. I'm glad you're looking into it as well. Yeah, we can't let that one go. And on that note, Eric Petty, good morning to you. He says, you guys need to look into these Boeing assassinations. Those whistleblowers both committed suicide right before trial. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I saw this earlier and I was just thinking about like, man, yeah, I haven't even heard a peep about that in a long while. I mean, do me a favor if you can. If you just happen to find anything, tag me online. Tag me on Twitter at TowerGangJose. I pretty much, for the most part, bookmark damn near anything you guys hit me up with. So, like, and that usually will be like a kind of, you know, touch base on that later. So, yeah, I do want to. It'll help me and you for memory purposes if you tag me. So maybe I'll on a lark look into that later. Because yeah, I think with those sort of stories, you look back into those like a year or two later when everyone stopped talking about it, and you're like, holy shit. So it might be worthwhile looking into those. But yeah, those were a while back. We were like 18,000 psyops later. Good morning, Shannon Jones. Good morning, Che Coho. Said, friendly reminder, your government would not flinch an eye even or when killing you if it meant holding or expanding its power, even if you were a non-combatant or siding with them 100%. Good morning, Tony Chin, saying JFK did 9/11. Good morning, Fat Cats. Good morning, Elliot James. Good morning, Tom33. Good morning, Elliot James. Good morning, Platypus, saying Guten Morgen. Good morning, Real John Doe. Good morning, Fred44. Proud Cat Daddy. Me too. Elliot James said they peed on her. Okay. I think you're talking about Greta. But absence of context, that is hilarious. Good morning, Fire Pixie says, I was in Eric Huntley's chat yesterday. He was talking with the author of Blowback, and I brought up your name, and they talked about you for a little while, and Eric would love for you to get in touch. Huh, that's interesting. Yeah, he actually followed me on social media a little while ago, and I looked into him a little bit. I feel like I'd seen him about before, and so I was just kind of like, maybe I'll touch base with him or something. Hell yeah, I'll have to check that out. I mean, if you wanna tag me in that or share that with me, some of that'd be great. Or otherwise, I'll try to remember looking at that later. But yeah, I also messaged Margaret a while back to have her on the show. So maybe at some point, I mean, she's a little bit of an older lady, so maybe she doesn't check her DMs or even hardly know how to use X. I have no idea. So yeah, I'd be happy to have Eric on. Or go on Eric's show or whatever. I know he's a pretty large platform. I don't know a ton about him, but I did watch some of his OKC coverage, and it was pretty good, pretty solid stuff. I think I watched maybe like half of one of his videos or something. So good stuff. I always like to check in when there's somebody that's covering Oklahoma City bomb. Like, oh, who's this? I still haven't heard back from the Cooper guy you guys told me to reach out to, but I saw him do, I believe, another video on that, and also did a Pizzagate. So I'm like, oh, cool. Seeing the youngins doing cool stuff, covering good content's always cool. Good morning, Nanya Business. Good morning, good morning. Fire Pixie says, I hope you don't mind. Oh, I absolutely don't mind. Go spread my name all far and wide. Just don't mention it to the Jays. Obviously, just being silly. But good morning, Gautis. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, King David. Hit the like button, says King David. Yes, please. Please do. Fat Cat says supposedly Hitler had one gonad and Napoleon had an infantile penis. Something about AC characters. Yeah, my daughter was actually weirdly, I don't know why, was telling me funny Napoleon facts or what are supposedly facts yesterday. I don't know why. Maybe she's covering him in history. Good morning, Bobo. Good to see you here. Good morning. He's starting off a tower in the chat. And it looks like it fell apart pretty early. Good morning, Eclipse Collective. He's saying early morning nigger horn. Okay, I'll say it. You put the word there, I'll say it. I should start monetizing it, though, because you can't just you don't get a hard R for free, baby. That's what I should get. But I mean, whatever, it's words. Who cares? Good morning, Marnamat. Good morning. All right. Did you message that twice, or did I accidentally go back on the chat, Pixie? I think you did it twice. That's what it was. Who else in here? Platypus says he's a Shabos goy. Are you talking about Eric? I mean, if he is a Shabos goy, it'd still be cool. He can be a Zionist and we can get along, considering his... I mean, there really would be no real reason for Zionism to even come up in Oklahoma City bombing conversation. Frankly, the people who do try to insert it into it, they're just trying to ham-fist something that just isn't really... I mean, there's like a touch, a shade of it. I mean, you can kind of, if you really want to, you can get pretty speculative with some of the Terry Nichols time in Thailand and some of the possible dubious connections to some of the other terrorists who have connections theoretically to the 93 World Trade Center, which if you kind of follow that trail, you can kind of find a Star of David poking through. Where else? Oh, also Strassmeyer. People do sometimes extrapolate from the fact that he admitted to being on a kibbutz at one point and then having friendly relationships with Mossad, and most people think he's some sort of op of some sort of agent, some sort of glowy. So, and then him having a past connected to the Mossad. It's like, I don't know, it's a far shot. It's a bit much. I mean, I'm beyond open to the idea that they got their dirty little dick beaters in there, but I just haven't seen anything to research that really shows that out too much. Oh, actually, one more thing that I always did find particularly kind of interesting. Israeli experts came up a lot in the trial from my recollection. So particularly, if I recall correctly, with the bombing analysis, which I thought was interesting. You're like, why is it you're always outsourcing this to the Israelis? Now, to be fair, the Israelis do have a track record of murder. So if you are going to someone like, hey, can I get your professional opinion on how murder would go down? It's for a court, particularly in regard to explosives or this or that. You're like, well, they are the leading experts in the old murder department. So maybe not leading. I guess we technically get it, but they, I don't know. They seem to like to devote a lot of art to the craft. So I mean, it would make sense to refer to them in the courts, but. All right, let's keep going. Smash that like button to smash Zog, says Bobo. Yes, please. Good morning, Eric, says Charlie Kirk. Fake character, fake dad with a fake white trash Jesuit terrorist blonde whore of wife and fake faceless satanic kids. Hey, Eric said it, not me. I don't know if I agree with all of that. Probably some of it. Maybe, perhaps. I don't know. Good morning. Hey, say what now? Good morning. Good morning. What else we got? Good morning, Wilson Selzer says click like bitches. Yes, please. Please do. Tom33 talking about the chick here says the broad doesn't have two brain cells rubbed together. It's not her fault. They interviewed a college kid. What do we expect? It's fair too. It's also just gonna be some dumb broad. But yeah. Good morning, Jake Moore. Good morning. Good morning. He says hit the like button. Yes, please. Everybody hit that like button. Okay, Firepix's Margaret spoke about you too in your segments about Terrence. She liked you. Cool. I don't necessarily have a bad bone for her, and I didn't really have any impression on what she felt about me. But yeah, I did hit her up forever ago. But I assumed perhaps she's sincere DMs or whatever. So Good morning, Visa Savage. First time catching live. Been listening for a couple months. Love the channel, brother. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. It's always fun to see a new voice in the chat. It's nice to hang out. Good morning, JC. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, Platypus said Gavin Newsom is who I call the Shaboskoy. Yes, Shaboskoy for sure. Platypus saying my work in compilation Oklahoma City bombing is booming. That's what I'm going to call it now. The Oklahoma City booming is incredible. Well, thank you. I don't know. I don't like to take too much credit. I mostly just found people who have done work and then gave them a platform to talk about it. But I've learned a lot about along the way, and I think I've done some actual research somewhat along the way too. So I think I pitched in my $1.05 along the way. So, I don't know. I don't feel bad in any way, shape, or form, but I don't know. I like to be a humble guy. All right, let's go through some foreign policy. To start it off, let's go ahead and let's start off with a clip. It's sort of in line with what we normally cover in the morning, although this one is more in line with foreign policy. It is bizarre. It is concerning, but let's watch this clip. I don't know if I think it might be in Hebrew, so I might just have to interpret it for you. No, it doesn't even give subtitles, but here you go. You can see this guy. I'll just go ahead and play it, so just to confirm that this is a video occurring. It says former Israeli MP Moshe Feiglin on Israel's most watched news show. It says Israel, as Hitler said, I cannot live if one Jew is left. We can't live here if one Palestinian remains in Gaza. So just kind of an insane quote. Now, to be fair, I don't speak Hebrew, so this could be bullshit. This could be a complete misinterpretation. I also don't speak Hebrew, so I'm missing context. But whatever, to kind of set the stage, it's completely in context with things we've gotten out of there over and over and over and over again. But I don't know. We'll keep moving. I just want to play that clip before just kind of set the stage. CENTCOM issues warnings to Hamas that contradicts President Trump. That's one of the first stories we have here. Now, this was from yesterday, so this is a little bit of old news, but this ties into, I think we had covered on Wednesday, perhaps essentially the how do we say this, the skirmishes occurring with Hamas during this peacetime or whatever, or I guess whatever you want to call this in-between time. There were reports of Hamas essentially, summary executions and stuff like that. Particularly, the claims are these are like rival gangs or criminals or whatever. And then Trump came out and was like, there were a lot of people murmuring about how this is them breaking the deal and they're supposed to be disarming or whatever. Making a thing of it, and then Trump came out and was like, oh, that's whatever, that's fine, it's cool, they need to, during this time, there's going to be a lot of crime, and they're going to have to, enact order, and so he's essentially being understanding. Well, then CENTCOM jumped in, the military, and had a contradictory response to Trump, so a little confusing. Admiral Brad Cooper, commander of CENTCOM, said that the U.S. military command was urging Hamas, and this is in quotes, Hamas to immediately suspend violence and shooting at innocent Palestinians in Gaza in both Hamas-held parts of Gaza and those secured by the IDF before or behind the yellow line. And then here's more from them. He said, this is an Israeli... This is an historic statement or historic opportunity for peace. Hamas should seize it by fully standing down, strictly adhering to President Trump's 20-point peace plan, and disarming it without delay, Cooper said. We have conveyed our concerns to the mediators who agreed to work with us to enforce the peace and protect innocent Gaza civilians. We remain highly optimistic for the future of the peace in the region. So there's CENTCOM, kind of going the opposite route. They're urging, they're essentially like, hey, don't do this. So kind of flying in the face of what Trump was doing. And then more to this, this is from yesterday now, further along this line of thinking. Now, all right, President Trump on Thursday threatened that we would have to go in and kill Hamas in Gaza if the group continues killing alleged criminals and Israeli collaborators, reversing his previous support for Hamas's armed action. If Hamas continues to kill people in Gaza, which was not the deal, we will have no choice but to go in and kill them. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Trump wrote on Truth Social. Over the weekend, dozens were killed in clashes between Hamas and other militias in Gaza, and some Palestinians were summarily executed, but it's unclear if there have been any internal clashes or executions in Gaza in recent days. While Israeli forces have continued to kill Palestinians despite the ceasefire, something Trump hasn't condemned. After the clashes, Hamas offered amnesty to members of armed groups and gave them until October 19th to surrender. According to a report from Sky News, at least 3 anti-Hamas militias that operate in areas of Gaza controlled by the Israeli military are refusing to disarm. Israel has armed gangs and militias as part of its strategy against Hamas, including a gang led by Yasser Abu Shabab, who is known for looting aid trucks. Some members of the Abu Shabab gang, which controls territory in southern Gaza under the watch of the IDF, have ties to ISIS. Trump's comments on Thursday mark a departure from his support for Hamas's activity in Gaza. He said earlier this week that Hamas had approval to reassert control of areas of Gaza to prevent crime, and also said the people the group executed were gang members. Now, this is what he said the other day. He said, they did take out a couple gangs that were very bad, very, very, very bad gangs, and they did take them out, and they killed a number of gang members. And that didn't bother me much, to be honest with you. That's okay. It's a couple of very bad guys, the president said on Tuesday. Well, now it's going the other way. It's now cut the shit or I'm fucking killing you. Now, to be fair to Trump, I don't think he's literally threatening actual, U.S. boots on the ground. Maybe like a bombing strafe or something. I wouldn't be, overly surprised, although I'm doubtful. I think he more just means, as he's already said, I think there's other quotes out there, essentially like any sort of whatever by Hamas, and we'll let Israel do their thing. So essentially what he means by we'll kill you is us and Israel, or Israel will kill you. And then on the Ukraine side of things, this is, once again, another kind of, I missed a day, so kind of in order of how these things went down. We had, from the other day, Trump says he'll make determination on whether Ukraine can launch an offensive. Said this on Wednesday, that he will make a determination on whether Ukraine can launch an offensive, something he will discuss with Ukrainian President Zelensky at the White House on Friday. This is in quotes, "We'll be talking about the war with him. They want to go offensive. I'll make a determination on that. But they would like to go offensive. You know that, and we'll have to make a determination," the president told reporters in the Oval Office. So, I do think it's particularly interesting, essentially that's basically, I don't know how much more clear of hey, they're basically our proxy. Like, how much more clearer of that could you get? Pretty crazy, although we get these frequently with Trump, so it's pretty easy to get dead into that. That this isn't something you'd get from previous administrations, this sort of naked presentation of the truth. But more on this story. We have Trump spoke with Putin. He said this on Thursday, so we have Wednesday. We have him talking about, I'm going to talk to Zelensky, and he's been floating out this whole Patriot missile thing for weeks now, and it's very obvious he's threatening Russia. Now, obviously there's a concern he could actually back up his threats. Hopefully we don't, but now we have him speaking with Putin, so perhaps this will go somewhere. Trump said on Thursday he spoke by phone with Vladimir Putin, and that he will soon meet in person again with the Russian leader in Budapest, Hungary, to discuss the possibility of ending the war in Ukraine. Trump said in a post on Truth Social that high-level U.S. and Russian officials will hold talks next week before he has a summit with Putin. At the conclusion of the call, we agreed that there will be a meeting of our high-level advisors next week. The United States' initial meetings will be led by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, together with various other people to be designated. A meeting location is to be determined, Trump wrote. President Putin and I will then meet in an agreed-upon location, Budapest, Hungary, to see if we can bring this inglorious war between Russia and Ukraine to an end. Trump said that he and Zelensky will discuss a planned meeting with Zelensky when Zelensky visits the White House on Friday. So, I don't know, maybe Monday or Tuesday we'll have some fun clips of Zelensky, we'll see, or some stories. But he should be meeting with him today. President Zelensky and I will be meeting tomorrow, that's obviously today, in the Oval Office, where we will discuss my conversation with President Putin and much more. I believe great progress was made with today's telephone conversation. Obviously, there's the issue of the Tomahawk missiles that they will be bringing up. and talks about, essentially escalating this situation. Hopefully we can bring this situation back from the brink. But, when one fire starts to maybe possibly go out, another one intensifies. And here we have President Trump authorizing the CIA to conduct lethal covert action in Venezuela. And this is reported by the New York Times, that they have, sources say type thing. So it's U.S. officials told the Times that the authority allows the CIA. Oh, never mind. Oh, then President Trump later confirmed. So he confirmed this later that he authorized a covert action. So it was leaked by the New York Times, sources say, then confirmed by President Trump. Most people are assuming, myself included, it probably was leaked by the administration. I think that, judging by their behavior with all this stuff, I think they want people to know. They want this to be like, they're not really trying to keep this stuff close to the vest, it seems like. But here's what he said. He said, we are certainly looking at land now because we've got the sea very well under control, he said. I guess that's not necessarily a confirmation of the CIA action per se, but it is confirmation of essentially, going the land route, essentially getting more, intensifying more. So we have reports. I guess I wouldn't say that was confirmed, but I don't know. Let's be real. This was probably leaked by the administration. I wouldn't be surprised. I know I'm always a little bit skeptical of sources say sort of stories, but just judging by their forward-facing discussions, this seems to be in line with everything. I hope it's not true. And then we also report that apparently there were survivors from the most recent explosion, which we talked about recently. That's the reporting that we're hearing about currently. This is according to Reuters. So I would assume this is going to kind of precede perhaps more information, which it seems like all the stuff that we're getting out of here is that these people are just mostly fishermen, at least here. This appears to be the case. So look, it says it appears here there was a strike that the U.S. launched on Tuesday that killed 2 citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. And the family of one of the men says he was a fisherman who was not involved in drug trafficking, was attempting to return home from a visit to Venezuela. Which I don't know, maybe they were trafficking drugs, but as I've seen these little dinghy boats over and over again, and there's not really any real reason to assume, boat, therefore, and the administration has provided absolutely nothing to back up their claims, so it just looks like murder over and over and over again. And at the same time, the head of the U.S. Southcom is stepping down. I know most people are connecting these things. I did look over this. Now, this guy is at 37 years. I'm a little bit torn on this story. It is interesting that the head of the U.S. Southern Command is stepping down right now. This is Alvin Halsey. But now, when I was listening to this story this morning, and I'm reading it over now, this guy has a 37-year military career. And I think they max out at 40, I think, as general. I think you can only technically do 40. I think you can probably always get extensions and stuff. But so he's only a few years out. I guess there were murmurings that he had disagreements, and there were perhaps going to be him getting kicked out. The Times reported here that officials in the Pentagon and Capitol said the praise, because Pete Hegseth lauded some praise in this guy with his recent essentially him announcing he was stepping down, retiring. But their sources are saying this masked real policy tensions concerning Venezuela that the admiral and his civilian boss were seeking to paper over. So yeah, which would totally be in line with the way that the military code of honor would kind of work in this situation, if we're kind of deferring to that here. The idea that he doesn't agree that he thinks this is wrong or whatever, improper, goes against his oath. But then at the same time, it's also, wrong for them to publicly, in their eyes, a lot of times publicly, make a show out of it or undermine, authority or whatever. So it's just kind of you're having to do a solitary, crisis of conscience type thing, which I don't know. I always thought this was kind of weird. Like if you actually felt this a certain way about something, wouldn't it make sense to be like, this is wrong, but whatever. This is interesting. I don't know. I think there might be something to this. wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of this going forward. I mean, I've been pretty astounded. I mean, I was never a brass in the military, but I mean, just from my impression of the military from my time, and it has been pretty astounding seeing some of the crazy shit, particularly with this Venezuela stuff. And it's like, while I don't really, have high opinions of a lot of these people, it is very much in the military instilled these like concepts of honor and stuff like that. And then we're gonna, I don't know, just it seems to fly in the face of the core values or whatever that they try to instill in you. And I know those are like kind of a joke for military members, myself included when I was in, but it is something they preach over and over again. And is such a, I don't know, it's just insane to me that maybe we'll see more of this going forward. I mean, although I say this and we have 9/11, we have so many examples of the military doing fucked up shit, but I mean, it's just getting to such a parody level of situation, basically. Once again, with this, literally no evidence being provided. I'd assume the military probably is realizing this at the higher levels too. Like, why are we getting no intel and attachment with this? I mean, I know the military is probably a lot about strike first, ask questions later, just kind of assume the intel is correct, but weird stuff. And then I did want to kind of attach this to the Venezuela story. Here's Michael Tracy. He's tweeting. He's showing here. He's showing Pete Hegseth's reactions to a few different media organizations responding to a new Pentagon press pass policy. Which essentially, there's a whole bunch of minor points to it, but basically it would de facto just make, Pentagon journalists stenographers, essentially. Basically what that is just someone who just records what is being said. So essentially they would just show up and then the Pentagon would say, hey, here's this. And then they're not allowed to talk to, they're supposed to pledge to not to, I forget how they phrase it, but to not to, use classified sources or this or that. And what that ends up meaning is that they literally can't go to sources to confirm stories. Because if you as a military reporter are not allowed to check classified sources or whatever, then when the government comes to you and goes, okay, we did a drone strike in Somalia, it's at the Pujant province and blah, yada, 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 yada. How the fuck else how are you supposed to verify this? Because how this normally works as a journalist is you then you get this information as you a Pentagon journalist, the Department of War person gives you their briefing of what they're told to tell you, and then you go okay, and then you go and then call your sources. This guy who works the Pentagon or works over at CENTCOM or works over here, and you go, hey, I'm hearing this. What do you? And then they may, they can just say, oh, I can confirm that. I that's totally a lie. Whatever, they may give you some level of to what degree they're willing to go on the record. But that right there is you soliciting classified but all that is you verifying a story. This is very basic journalism 101 stuff. And essentially they're trying to make it so that they can't do these sorts of things. And here's Pete Hegseth. He's playing this troll type thing. He's just quote tweeting all these different organizations that are leaving the Atlantic, also the New York Times that are kind of having their statements on on this and essentially how they won't and yada yada yada. And he's just kind of bye playing this sort of glib the lefties type game. Here's what Michael Tracy had to say about this. He said, Fox News, Daily Caller, Washington Examiner, Washington Times, Newsmax, Military Times, Real Clear Politics, Defense Daily, Defense News, Air and Space Forces Magazine, and even the news service of the U.S. Naval Institute have all refused to sign this press restriction policy because it would expressly abolish the practice of news gathering at the Pentagon, however flawed that process might have become. But Hegseth won't snidely tweet at those outlets because in standard Hegseth fashion, he needs everything to be framed as a simpleton partisan flame war where he's the man standing up for the war fighters against the big bad liberal media, which I guess now must include his former employer, Fox News. Basically, essentially the only person the only group who has signed on to this is OAN. So currently the One American Network, which is essentially just, I think that's where Matt Gaetz does his shit at, which, okay, whatever. But it's basically just MAGA slop. Let's be real. You have one MAGA slop entity that's willing to stick around under these rules. So I don't know. Essentially, we functionally don't have a Pentagon press corps right now. So that's interesting. That is the current dynamic. And then kind of coming back to our based queen, Greta Thunberg. Here's Caitlin Johnstone. She's sharing her insights from a article from the Aftonbladet, I believe this is. This is written by, who was it? By Lisa Rostland. But we're not going to do the whole thing, but we'll see. But essentially, Greta talked to someone and gave her account of the abuse she experienced. So I figured it would only make sense for us to cover that. Here's Caitlin saying, Israel tortured and sexually humiliated Greta Thunberg. Some excerpts from her interview with the Swedish paper Aftonbladet. They grabbed me, pulled me to the ground, and throw an Israeli flag over me. They dragged me to the opposite side from where the others were sitting, and I had the flag around me the whole time. They hit and kicked me. They moved me very brutally to a corner that I was turned towards. A special place for a special lady, they said. Lilla Hora, which means little whore, and Hora Greta, which means whore Greta in Swedish, which they repeated all the time. In the corner where Greta was sitting, the police placed a flag. And in quotes, the flag was placed so that it would touch me. When it fluttered and touched me, they shouted, "Don't touch the flag," and kicked me in the side. After a while, my hands were tied with cable ties very tightly. Bunch of guards lined up to take selfies with me while I was sitting like that. They were thrown to the ground and beaten, but I could only see it out of the corner of my eye because every time I lifted my head from the ground, I was kicked by the guard standing next to me. And then also Greta was taken into a building to be searched and undressed. The guards have no empathy or humanity, and they keep taking selfies with me. There's a lot I don't remember. So much is happening at once. You're in shock. You're in pain. But you go into a state of trying to stay calm. Outside, she was forced to take off her clothes again, she says. It was mockery, rough handling, and everything was filmed. Everything they do is extremely violent. It was so hot, like 40 degrees, I'm assuming Celsius. We begged the whole time, which I don't even know what 40 degrees Celsius is. Can we have water? Can we have water? In the end, we screamed. The guards walked in front of the bars the whole time, laughing and holding up their water bottles. They threw the bottles with water in them into the trash cans in front of us. When people fainted, we banged on the cages and asked for a doctor. Then the guards came and said, "We're going to gas you." It was standard for them to say that. This shows that if Israel, with the whole world watching, can treat a well-known white person with a Swedish passport this way, just imagine what they do to Palestinians behind closed doors. Thunberg says the Swedish government greatly downplayed the abuse she and her fellow Samud flotilla activists suffered and wouldn't even bring them water. We were together and told them about the treatment we received, about the lack of food, water, about the abuse, the torture. We showed them the physical injuries we had, bruises and scratches. We gave them all our contact details. I gave them my father's number and the number of our contact in the organization. We were clear. Everything we say now must be released to the media. They didn't do anything. They just said, our job is to listen to you. We are here and you are entitled to consular support. We said over and over again, we need water, and they saw that the guards had water bottles. The embassy staff said, we'll make a note of that. One of us, Vincent, said, next time we meet you, you must bring water. Then it took 2 days before the embassy staff showed up again. They didn't bring any water except for a small bottle of their own that was half empty. Vincent, who was in the worst shape, got to drink it. Jesus. We kept asking the guards, can we have some water? But they just walked around with their water bottles and didn't answer. I said, are you going to leave us like this? If you leave now, they will beat us up. But they just kept walking. When Aftonbladet compared emails sent by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to relatives with what the captives described telling embassy staff, it becomes clear the seriousness of the situation has been downplayed. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs describes the scene at the port where Greta Thunberg was beaten for hours as follows. She told us about harsh treatment and that she'd been sitting on a hard surface for a long time. On Saturday, several media outlets published testimonies that Greta had been subjected to torture. Aftonbladet had spoken to 3 other members of Flotilla who largely confirm what Greta Thunberg says and who have all experienced various types of abuse and humiliation. We have also spoken to relatives. Everyone is highly critical of how the Swedish embassy staff acted. All right, foreign policy. Oh, what the hell happened? That's weird. I just realized it wasn't sharing the screen. That's bizarre. Thankfully, I wasn't playing any videos, so that's weird. The screen is completely gone, too. So, bizarre. Don't know what to make of that one. All right. Sorry. Thankfully, I don't think I played any videos during that portion. So, all right, let's get back into the chat. Did I lose signal or something too? Because there's a good decent amount of you that just bounced too, and the screen went. So I don't know if maybe I lost signal during that time or something. Let me know. I'm gonna go back to the chat, checking on you guys. So, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Nevsky. Good to see you in the chat. Good morning, Ominous Obelisk. Good morning. Good morning, Chacoho, asking if they asked her to show her boobs. Oh, that's weird. It also jumped the chat right to the front. So, all right, I'm going to go back to the chat a little bit. So let me know if there was any weirdness. All right. Weird. There's a weird jump in the chat, it looks like, too, on my end. Okay, whatever. I don't know what happened there. I think some oddness is occurring. All right. 104 Fahrenheit's what Fire Pixie's saying for 104 heat. Okay, that is nuts. Yeah. Good morning, Tau Rose. Good to see you here. Okay. Tom says, I don't. But do I believe Greta at all for any reason? No. Do I believe Israel when they say they didn't torture her? Also, no. Which is a good, safe assumption. Good morning, One Mustache. By the way, I'm going to DM you back, by the way. Sorry, I got busy. Okay, everyone's saying I was fine. Okay, well, I guess just StreamYard did some weirdness. I was suspicious because I came back and the normal shared screen was gone. And, made me a little bit concerned. All right, let's get into the first topic of the day. Let's get into the Tom Alexandrovitch coverage. 1 second. All right, here we go. Sorry, I got to bring this screen back up because StreamYard did some weird stuff. All right, here we go. Here's a video of Tom Alexandrovitch being arrested. I guess we got some more information about this that has come out, and we will go through it together. But let's watch the arrest video. I don't think there's really anything to glean from it, but you guys can watch this together with me, so you'll have seen it.
Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Over here. Hands behind your back.
All right, just a 12-second video of him getting arrested. But there you go. You can see it's him. I mean, it's pretty clearly him. And then here is from 8 News Now. Video chats reveal more about Israel's official arrest in Las Vegas. Sexting. So here we go. So I figured we'd dig into this, get a little bit more details as time has gone on. So this is updated just yesterday. So like I said, this is over at Fox 8 News Now. I'm assuming some sort of local affiliate. So video and documents obtained by the 8 News Now investigators show that an Israeli government official allegedly said to an FBI decoy that led to his arrest, or show what an Israeli government official allegedly said to an FBI decoy that led to his arrest in a Las Vegas sex sting. Because remember, that was the whole thing. A lot of people were arguing, well, we don't even know. It's funny, I actually just had Michael Tracy on here a minute ago. He's one of those guys who's kind of well, we don't even know. Well, looks like we might find out some more. Tom Alexandrovitch, 38, posted $10,000 bail at the Henderson Detention Center on August 7th and left the country. In October, a grand jury voted to indict Alexandrovitch on a charge of luring children or mentally ill persons with the use of technology with the intent to engage in sexual conduct. Alexandrovitch is an Israeli government official who was in, an ad popped up, who was in Las Vegas for a cybersecurity event. The 8 News Now investigators confirmed after his arrest. On Wednesday, August 6th, Alexandrovitch allegedly chatted online with the FBI decoy posing as a 15-year-old girl about meeting for sexual contact, the 8 News Now investigators first reported, citing court documents. Here's a picture of him at a Zoom meeting. By the way, for those who care. The conversation began on Pure, an application that describes itself as the best dating app for open-minded people. According to documents, the app requires users to be 18 and older. Alexandrovitch, who identified himself in the chat as Alex, and the decoy then moved the conversation to WhatsApp, documents said. During the chat, the decoy, who was actually an FBI agent, repeatedly said she was with her dad and that she was underage, the documents said. I'm only 15, the decoy said at one point, according to grand jury transcripts. I'm not allowed in over since I'm only 15, she said at another time in the conversation. So directly said, I can't come over because I'm 15. Prosecutors allege Alexandrovitch asked the decoy about meeting and discussed attending several shows on the Las Vegas Strip. The decoy asked Alexandrovitch to bring condoms with the agreement they would meet at Avellino Park in Henderson, a more than 20-minute drive from the Las Vegas Strip. So you have the decoy saying that they are 15. They tell them to bring condoms. So that's what we have. I obviously we're missing context, but I do struggle to find context that would make these things acceptable. Alexandrovitch's initial arrest report incorrectly indicated he arrived at the park in a rideshare. So he didn't. So apparently he didn't get in a rideshare, which I didn't remember that being reported. Get out of the car, get out of the car, hands behind your back. A police officer shouts at Alexandrovitch as he sits in a parking car in a rental lot. In a parking lot in a rental car. I said that weird. The 40-minute long body camera clip shows police detaining Alexandrovitch and driving him to the police station for questioning. No part of the interview is captured on video. Alexandrovitch posted $10,000 bail shortly after his arrest. The process, called standard bail, allows defendants to pay the fee and waive their right to a probable cause hearing, which the Justice Court oversees. Alexandrovitch did not appear before a judge and posted bond before his state-entitled probable cause hearing and before prosecutors filed a criminal complaint against him. Thus, no judge could put any added restrictions on his release before he left the country. While a judge later reviewed the bail, there was no physical hearing and the judge had no mechanism to add further restrictions. Alexandrovitch later appeared virtually in Henderson Justice Court for his initial arraignment. In that hearing, Henderson Justice Court Judge Barbara Skifalakwa ordered him to stay away from minors and stay off applications or social media sites for dating. Prosecutors did not ask Skifalakwa to increase bail, and she kept the amount at $10,000. Following the grand jury indictment, Alexandrovitch's case moved directly to Clark County District Court, where a new judge will oversee the case. That judge, Clark County District Court Judge Tina Talim, also ordered Alexandrovitch to appear remotely for now. A hearing was scheduled for October 27th. Alexandrovitch's attorneys, David Chesnoff and Richard Sconfold, previously said their client has stayed in contact with them and has not violated any terms of his initial release and served both the Israeli and U.S. governments. Mr. Alexandrovitch intends to contest the findings of the grand jury and continues to maintain his innocence, the attorney said in a statement Thursday. So there you go. They show a picture here from the excerpt from, I believe this is from the charging documents, this is from the grand jury transcripts. Is the question, did he say he felt pushed to discuss condoms by that girl? It says, yes, he did. Alexandrovitch passed a polygraph examination, which included in question about having him not having relationships with anyone under 19. That was worded weirdly. Chesnoff previously said the attorneys stressed the Pure application requires users to be 18 and older, pointing out the app also requires photo verification. Alexandrovitch did not speak during the September hearing, only saying he understood the terms Skifalakwa had placed on him. The judge added that she only has jurisdiction in the U.S. Well, of course you do. So, yeah, we'll see where this goes, but more details have come out, and it is looking like, it's more and more obvious. Yeah, he definitely probably tried to fuck a kid, allegedly. So, all right, let's check in the chat, see what you guys got to say, and then we will get on to the next story. Good morning, Andrew. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Elliot. Good morning. Good morning, Justin. So do these people really believe there are 15-year-old girls out there dying to have sex with middle-aged men for free? You're living in a fantasy world and deserve what you get. And then Tony Chin says, decoy aspect seems like a legal loophole he will easily slip through. Perhaps. We'll see. I don't know. We'll check in on this occasionally. Let's get into the latest in the Kirk stuff. Do a little bit of jacking off, just asking questions. But to start off with, here is... Actually, never mind. I'm going to fix the... of course, StreamYard is doing its weird thing again. Give me a second. Let me fix that. And here we go. Let's watch a couple clips. Kash Patel has been saying stuff. I haven't watched these yet, but let's watch them together. Here's from Shadows of Ezra. It says, FBI Director Kash Patel says he won't entertain any conspiracy theories about Charlie Kirk's assassination. So let's see what he has to say about that. Only hard facts.
The only thing we deal with at the FBI and the Department of Justice is facts. We delivered at record speed a manhunt to capture Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin in 33 hours. And if you put that in perspective to Luigi Mangione or the Boston bomber, they took them 5 days and a police officer lost their life in their manhunt. We are running on absolutely every single lead, and the best thing we can do to honor my friend Charlie Kirk's life is to make sure that everyone involved is prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And that's what we're focused on, investigating the facts, not trading in conspiracy theories.
Keep in mind, he's also the guy who recently gave credence to all the conspiracy theories when he was the one who's like, oh, we're investigating everything, this, that, this. He literally named one by one all the a lot of the stuff that people thought were crazy or this or that. I can remember I wish I could remember it actually offhand. There were some of them that were kind of the more dubious type stuff. They were kind of weird. You were even giving any sort of oxygen to it, I guess you could say. But point being is he has literally in the past given the oh, we're looking into everything, and now he's doing this well, we're only looking into facts, we don't fuck with conspiracy theories. I mean, to be fair, there's not necessarily a contradiction here, but to some degree it's like a perception thing. It seems odd. Here's another from Kash. Let's see what he had to say to, was this on Bannon, I think, recently? This is on Real America's Voice. Let's watch this.
Is there any possibility that other people were involved when you talked at the White House? I sort of got a little inkling that maybe you're looking at other people.
We're looking at everyone that was there, that was online, and we're looking to refer these matters to the state prosecution authorities when there's enough evidence. But the reality is, again, with social media, when you have hysterical conspiracy theories filling the void, you're harming Charlie and his family and a rightful prosecution of his alleged assassin, who we have in custody, and rightly so, in my opinion. And if anyone helped him, do you think?
Keep in mind, he's the guy who ran hard as fuck, which I paused at a really funny time, I think. But he ran hard as shit with the Epstein stuff. And then once he got in office, it's, oh, there's no Epstein list, there's no this, there's no that. Just move on. So funny enough, well, I don't think that it's true to be oh, you're, operating conspiracy theories or you're whatever, or you're just, I don't think it's necessarily, I do think there is a there for the Epstein stuff, but I'm not Kash Patel, who's acting like there isn't a there now, and now he's I don't know. Anyways, let's keep going.
I think that we at this FBI are literally going to let them get away with it. Us standing silent in the face of growing conspiracy theories, that's what we do to shut down a faulty prosecution. That's what we do to shut down a system of justice that wants to be exploited by these same anarchists. And that's what they're doing. They're bringing it to social media. They're bringing it online for clickbait, and we're not going to take it. We don't care what you say about me or Dan Bongino or anyone in leadership at the FBI. They're just going to keep doing the work.
All right, let's get into this is sort of the influencer wars occurring right now, which I think are significant in relation to this. I called this segment the Kirk JAQing It, or whatever the hell. So it is meaningful, kind of what's going on in that realm. We have what's seeming to be this this narrative that's kind of coming out. And I think we sort of saw it peak out a little bit with what's his face, old Homojeet there. This kind of we're kind of essentially alluding to this sinister aspect of conspiracizing, and then even then this kind of almost like Sandy Hook type elements to it. Which, funny enough, I actually probably should have got a segment ready for that because there's news there. Maybe another day. But this kind of Sandy Hook vibe over there, where you ask these sorts of questions, and we'll get into that. We'll finish the segment off with talking a little bit about the Erica Kirk story and some other stuff. But a lot of people are kind of pointing to how dare you you look at his friends or this or his family or whatever, because you're oh, this is gross. Here's Kaneko the Great saying people are attacking Charlie's closest friends colleagues, and even his wife, accusing them of covering up his murder. They target the people Charlie loved most while defending the man likely responsible for his murder. That isn't seeking truth. It's disgusting and evil. So it does insert this other thing. So now we're getting this, and I've kind of ranted about this a little bit, this this normalcy bias that's occurring where as time goes on, it's becoming more and more acceptable for the influencer class, who ironically were kind of doing this from the jump, and a lot of them were ridiculing, and a lot of us were ridiculing them at the jump, and they were, it was a lot of them kind of, the quarterings of the world, they kind of, then quieted down a little bit as they were getting kind of clowned on. But now we're in this weird time where time has gone on. They've maintained this holding pattern, the establishment, in a lot of ways when it comes to the Kirk story. And so now a lot of people are seemingly getting more comfortable to kind of jump into what a lot of people were getting ridiculed from off the jump. And so now a lot of people are kind of inserting this kind of without even really just just on a side, like, oh, the likely responsible for his murder, the man likely responsible for his murder. Like that's what Robinson is now, the man likely responsible for his murder. This is what we're referring to him as. This is how they sneak in this like, part of why it's like, oh, you're ridiculous. Like we have a guy like. And now we have these influencers that as time's gone a little bit by, it's maybe not as content. Now they can kind of come out and you're like, look how ridiculous it is, all these people, how they're acting. When we have the guy that's likely, so like there's this assumption that like everyone's already now, because it's been a little bit of time, even though it was just a couple weeks ago, everyone was laughing about this and going, how fucking ridiculous is this? Now it's been a couple weeks, people, oh, this is likely the guy. That's what's occurring here. Ian Carroll responds here, says, your entire post is an appeal to emotion from behind a faceless account entirely devoid of any discussion of evidence. But yes, keep seeking your truth. We'll be over here discussing evidence if you care to join. And then Kanakoa says to him, what evidence do you have that Charlie Kirk's closest covering his murder? How does that compare to the evidence against Tyler Robinson? Investigators have Robinson's confession describing his motive and actions. His rifle was found nearby with his DNA on it, which, keep in mind, there was that weird, like, it was on the towel and not the gun, which is confusing. His own parents identified both him and the weapon and turned him into police, which I still think were hazy. I meant to today maybe go look at some of our charging documents I had and maybe get some specifics. But we still, I don't think, know the specific details on a lot of that stuff, so even that's hazy. So again, what evidence supports your claim, and how does it compare to the evidence against Tyler Robinson? Well, this is the evidence that he's quickly responding to. This is what he's coming with. DNA, rifle found nearby with DNA. So, for one, rifle found with DNA. Okay? For one, a 30-06, which that opens a whole fucking can of worms now, doesn't it? So, yeah, and then also his own parents thing, which I don't know. Maybe I'll have to come back to that. I hesitate to even go too hard on that. Maybe there are specifics there, but even then, the fact that like we haven't seen more or heard more murmurs, I really don't think we have. That is really solid. So I think we're still in the realm of we have nothing. So you have the government told me some things, and they didn't really ever give me any sort of direct, specific, anything that's like a grounding information from which you can build off of. Nothing. Anyways, and he goes, so just because there are open questions about the case, including questions about the counter bullet, does not logically mean Charlie's best friends are covering up his murder. So why are you accusing them of spinning a narrative on his grave? Because they are. What he's referring to, because he's what Kanakoa is sort of giving. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to click out of that. Is giving Ian Carroll shit for. Is mostly this kind of response. Here's a good example of that. Him responding, Jack Posobiec, it wasn't a violent leftist, Jack. Why are you spinning a narrative on your dead friend's grave? Now, I would say to that, I get to give a tiny bit of pushback on the Ians of the world. I would say maybe I would say the second sentence here is correct. Why are you spinning a narrative on your dead friend's grave? I think when you see the Posobiecs and many other people who are running to a ridiculous degree hard with this whole, oh, I saw a leftist shoot my friend or whatever. No, you didn't. You really did not. None of us did. We don't know what happened yet. So I would say equally, to some degree, it is a little bit, for Ian to say it wasn't a violent leftist, this from a logical perspective, that is not grounded. Like you can't say you're making a claim here. You're claiming it wasn't a violent leftist. You're not making a claim of agnosticism. Like if the claim was I don't know, this would be a different story. He's making the claim of knowledge. He's making a knowledge claim, the knowledge being it wasn't a violent leftist. We don't know that. It could have been a violent leftist. That's still open. Which, this is something I pointed out with Ian before, that he did the same thing with this one that Kaneko jumped on, where he within like a day or so was already basically saying it was Israel, which I've covered in this show, which he then later, it did seem like he was way too damn sure of himself here. But, I do think perhaps to give him, Ian a slight out here, I think he might have inside info, perhaps, because there was that group chat link that, judging by Ian's proximity to the Candaces of the world, he probably knew about that, if I had to guess. So I think perhaps that's why he was so cocksure right off the jump, because he felt like it would prove him right later, probably. But even still, even if that is the case, if he's sitting on, info of some sort and he knows things and that's why he's being so sure, I do think from the outside looking in, maybe there's just like not a recognition of how maybe in a certain way it's cool because then later it pays off and you're like, oh, look how fucking right I was. But the problem is in the moment when you have people like me out there, where it kind of makes us go, well, I see you making a whole bunch of claims and not providing substance, which, as I've said with the Candace thing, there are sometimes where it makes sense to release these things later. So it's like I'm open to that. But it does become this point where we notice a pattern. We're like, what is going on here? And something like making crazy, overt claims that don't seem to be backed up by the available information at that point in time and not giving any sort of caveat of like, I have other information, you don't. It's a little confusing, and it does make some of us go a little hesitant to really want to believe you in things, or if it's so confusing, anytime we make a claim, we have to be like, okay, but let's hedge that with there's no thing behind that, so then, because then every thing I then later repeat has to be hedged by, as claimed by fucking Ian Carroll, just because he said so. So I don't like the certainty here, but I get what he's doing. I don't think he literally meant in that, like, say in this instance that it wasn't. I don't think he technically was literally meaning like, oh, what I'm saying is a positive claim that it was not a violent leftist, but it does look sloppy. So then you have these people like the Kanekoas in this certain situation right now that kind of make it look silly. And then here's him more. I was kind of looking through all the replies, and I just thought it was particularly, frankly, kind of dumb, honestly, which I'm kind of disappointed by. This. I don't know a ton about Kanekoa, but I've always seen usually pretty decent, interesting, intelligent, sort of responses or posts or whatever from this guy. But then as I'm going through the replies and him dealing with the people who are kind of being like, like this guy right here, there was never a confession. Get your facts straight. Bet you believe the Gulf of Tonkin was real. And pretty much damn near all his responses are this. Literally just a quote of, hey guys, I have bad news for you all. It was me at UVU yesterday. I'm sorry for all of this. I'm surrendering through a sheriff friend in a few moments. Thanks for all the good times and laughs. So he's referring to this as being the confession. He said he also confessed to his roommate boyfriend. So we're referring to supposed words online, which are insanely dubious. Like, so words online said it. I'm sorry, that's not good enough. It's not even close to good enough. That's like, this is basically literally nothing. I will grant you it's like the tiniest shred of something. So there is, I guess there are, where you have it right now in the Tyler Robinson case is there was a gun that had some DNA nearby, a gun that has not been matched up to the shooting. You also have a supposed claim of a confession online. I can't impress this enough. Like, I know I inherently distrust tech. I'm a tech Luddite. But it's online. Like, if we're talking any sort of intel, anything, any sort of larger game, conspiracy, anybody that, has a larger understanding of the internet beyond just as simple as VPNs, just the most basic grasp of the internet is like, you would think you'd be like, oh, like that's like some tech nerd spook shit could just fucking tappity tap. Here you go. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand tech data or any shit. I mean, maybe there are ways you can go, oh, this clearly wasn't funny shit here. But I'm never going to believe it. I believe anything like with that can probably be faked. So you have some online shit. You have a supposed gun, a gun that hasn't been matched to the shot. And then what was the other one? I don't even remember what the other one. Oh, the parents supposedly turned him in, to which I don't think we still have any sort of specifics on that. So that's basically nothing. Basically nothing. And frankly, I get it, this argument of like, oh, we got to save stuff for the trial. But I mean, if this is the absolute nothing that you have, it's a little suspicious. And then more on this kind of these influencer wars. Here's Will Chamberlain responding to Marissa Hanson saying, yes, Tyler Robinson assassinated Charlie Kirk. Tyler Robinson was a leftist with a trans boyfriend. Is there some reason you're running cover for a leftist assassin? So we have these idiots of the world that are able to run around asserting that Tyler Robinson did this. But if you see doubt, you're just some crazy person running cover for a leftist, despite these people are running hard in the paint with this. And then, Marissa Hanson, she pointed out intelligently, it's not running cover to ask questions. George Zinn was in the crowd and clearly was used as a diversion or as a distraction of some sort. He may be a lunatic, but there's a possibility he was blackmailed to show up there. It is really difficult for me to understand why you are all going so hard with one possibility when the actual facts haven't been real or confirmed. And here she shares an excerpt from one of the Zinn-related things. And it said, Zinn told the agents that he used his phone to view and abuse child sex abuse material, and there may be some images on his phone. Obviously, bringing attention to, hey, there was some literal fucking child porn on one of the sketchy people related to this case. And then now we're supposed to go, oh, well, a gun that just happens to be where we want it to be at the time we need it to be. Oh, whoop-de-fucking-do. Oh, and some messages. Oh, whatever. I mean, I don't know. It's also just as likely that Tyler and some of his friends may have been mixed up into some dark shit online and found themselves as some convenient patsies. That's also a very likely situation here. I did want to float this one out here. This is an account I've been getting some interesting information from recently. I'm always, it does, I'll be honest, a little bit of I get a feeling of a little bit of like that slop impression. So I'm holding out. I don't know. We'll see. But this person is saying they've got a source with exclusive access to Tyler Robinson, saying he said, I've just heard from a reliable insider who's going to have a chance to ask questions on video tomorrow night with Tyler Robinson, who was a video visit from the jail. So we all know the situation's sensitive. Every word is recorded and anything can be twisted. So we have to be smart about what gets asked. So that's where you come in. I need help brainstorming the right questions, things that can reveal new details or shed light on what really happened without crossing any lines or putting anyone at risk. Drop your best questions below. Let's crowdsource the truth carefully, strategically, and respectfully. Now, this is Project Constitu. So imagine you're going to write Constitution, and then you didn't put the shun, the TION, at Project Constitu. So go give them a follow and find that post if you do want to add questions. But this is kind of a two-sided thing for you guys. Just want to let you guys know that, hey, who knows? We might be getting some more information out here soon. And also, if you do want to play a part, go find this account, go seed some questions. But moving on, there's been also some more of these like videos kind of in line with this introductory little video I played for you guys earlier with the dumb broad. There's some more of that coming out. Here is another kind of early interview. So let's see what this guy has to say. Of course, StreamYard's not working. Give me a minute. Give me a second. Let me bring that back up. Here you go. Now let's try it. Let's hope StreamYard doesn't poop the bed again.
After I got done talking to him, I really couldn't exit because there was such a big crowd. So I turned around, and like 10 to 20 seconds later, after I got done talking to Charlie, I saw that he was shot in the neck and that he was squirting blood everywhere. But I was piecing things together, and it was really weird because the second guest that I talked to, before I went and asked him the question, what I was going to ask him, he was talking to him about how he was going to ask about transgenderism or something like that. But nothing about shootings. And this is the irony that came to me, which was like, right when he asked that, not like 5-10 seconds later, he was shot. And not only that, right after that, someone confessed to it who had no weapon. which makes me think that it was clearly a setup and that multiple people were involved. So, but prior to that, that's all I saw because everyone was squirming. I didn't see anyone fire a shot. I think it had to come from an elevated position for sure.
All right, well, a little bit more reasonable voice, it seems like. A little less ridiculous than the last one. Here's another one from the show, Mel at Village Crazy Lady without that first A. It said, new Tyler video just dropped. She says, add backpack to the list of the items in the outfit change. And so now we see new video, and you can see here, this looks like that looks pretty damn blue to you, right? That looks kind of bluish, definitely a lot more of a deflated kind of bag, not overly full. Keep in mind, he's supposed to have some sort of gun in this bag. And then here's another photo here. And then here's a different photo. This is from that like supposed tunnel. So now let me see. Let's see if the clothes. Well, okay, he's wearing a different outfit. You can see his legs poking out. He's wearing shorts, red shirt at this point. Now, okay, there's the outfit change. So you can definitely tell a different outfit. This is supposed to be the same guy. Supposed to both be your Tyler Robinson. And so now add the backpack, as they said. So now look at this one. This one looks black. It also looks a lot more full. So look at this one compared to these. Like you can see that one does not look very full. You got to be kidding me. The audio's already out. Whatever, it doesn't matter. We don't need audio for this very moment. But yes, you can see it also looks like they have some little patches on it too, kind of like military-like patches for anyone who's seen like military-type backpacks or whatever, which I don't know. I was going to say maybe there's something to that, but maybe not. That's kind of a similar style for backpacks these days. Although actually now I'm looking at it, I think that might be some sort of other thing too. It doesn't necessarily look like that. But anyways, these do look like very different or not very different, but slightly different backpacks. I mean, the one looks blue. I mean, that could just be a lighting thing. And the other one, but the difference between the thickness, obviously, there are these two little doodads on there that you'd think maybe would be a little bit more recognizable. Huh. Yeah, I can't really make out if there's any sort of like accessories, like that little whatever the little weird thing is here. All right. Now let's watch the actual video. Actually, I got to bring up and down from StreamYard again because that's the deal here. That's what I'm working with over here. But here is someone. I guess this is, by the way, this is from a similar, not similar, but this is from a video that already exists. Actually, it's not technically a new video, but they've gotten better. I guess they've gotten better quality, I think it is. But this is, I'll let Gray Hughes investigates, kind of talk about this a little bit, since I think this is, maybe he found it, but he can explain the circumstances here. I do find it interesting that a lot of these early videos we had were all so grainy. And dude, it's 2025. I don't know. Let's keep going.
Hello, this is Gray Hughes of Gray Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button, share the video, and subscribe if you like the content. But really hit that like button for me. I'd really appreciate it. As you're aware, I was out in Orem, Utah from Sunday to Wednesday. Sunday and Wednesday were travel days. So on Monday, I walked around the neighborhoods and onto the campus and then basically followed Tyler Robinson's path. And on Tuesday, I went down into the area where the event actually took place, went around at all the different walkways and filmed with my 360-degree camera. And Gary from Paramount Tactical and Peter were there, his friend that came with him. And we walked around and filmed a lot of different things. I think we met up over at Denny's, and then we drove over to the campus and filmed a whole bunch of different things. We kind of just did our own thing when we got there. Some of the stuff overlaps, obviously, and then we kind of meet up and talk about what we're going to do next, etc. And that was really cool. It was great meeting Gary from Paramount Tactical and his friend Peter. Really cool dudes, both of them. And it'd be great to do more with them in the future. All right. So when I was there, I started the route that Tyler Robinson took on his dry run. And that's in this shot right here. Later on, we see Tyler Robinson walking by, and then we see the vehicle, the Dodge Challenger, driving by. However, I got much more of the footage, so we're going to be putting that out in this video. Now, I'm not going to be talking while it's playing, but it's going to play like this, where there's no zooming in at all. It's just going to be a full screen. So there'll be another one where I'm following the vehicle and then following Tyler Robinson. And then there's another camera, actually, that picks him up. It's not a ton of video, but it's just like you can see him walking by in that footage. So I have all of the surveillance footage, not the portions that TMZ put out. They just like to quickly throw something out there so they can be first and not put out accurate information. And then at the end, I'll play it in slow motion, 50% speed, so you can watch the whole thing as it transpires and see if you can notice anything in the vehicle or when Tyler Robinson is walking by. Okay, so I'm not going to be saying anything while this is playing, and then I'll comment at the end. But while you're watching it, if you could hit that like button for me, I'd really appreciate it. And let's get started on the surveillance footage right now.
Hit my like button too. For the audio people, sorry, you are watching a quiet security camera. So this is 8:22 a.m. on September 10th. All right, I just realized there's like 10 minutes of different security cameras. So, oh, there's a car. Okay, well maybe there would be. Might be worthwhile to go through. I feel kind of weird seeing we saw the Challenger kind of peek through a little bit. Which, I mean, a black Challenger, let's be real, it feels glowy. I had a black Challenger for a while, but it does feel like a glowy car, doesn't it? There's a guy walking, looks like the red shirt. That might be him. See what looks like him walking by again. All right, here's him walking. Walking. You see him kind of walking down the parking lot, or not parking lot, down the sidewalk, I mean. Can't really make out much, but this is a lot clearer than the original video we got for sure. This is like crystal clear. Tom33 says every young guy in the military gets a Charger or Duramax at some point. Exactly, yeah. I think they're literally watching. Like, you can literally see him way off in the distance walking down the side. So he's just kind of casually. Now it says it's 9. Oh, it started at 8:22. It said 9:50 just a second ago. What the fuck? Let me see. What happened there? Sorry, I just noticed something weird. I thought there was a time jump. I'm an idiot. I was just realizing we're looking at different things throughout here, so that's why. Oh, they're zooming in even more because I think you could really make him out way off in the distance. All right. Sorry, by the way, if you are watching this back in audio, I would highly recommend just. Or here's a Challenger. Actually, was that a Charger or Challenger? Never mind. Let's look at that again. I can never. So here's the car coming back again. Here's a different one. Sorry, what is that? I meant to pause it. I'm gonna look at that. That is a Challenger or a Charger? Oh, that's definitely a Challenger. It's a 2-door. But yeah, I was saying the audio guys, you're gonna definitely want to fast forward. Sorry, go to the next time. Go to the well, actually there'll be more to this segment, so I wouldn't say go to the next segment. There'll be the Erica Kirk stuff here in a minute. Okay, here's a good look at him. Yeah, that's definitely... Yeah, okay, let's see if we can see any accessories in the back of that bag, too. Because there was those weird, like, almost brass, goldish looking things. Can't quite make it... you can't really make it out. But I don't think so. That definitely looks like a very different bag. That looks blue. I don't know how to interpret that as anything other than blue. And that other one is definitely black. I mean, obviously now he's in the shade. It looks black again. I mean, maybe there could be some weird color washing with these cameras occurring. I don't know. So, okay, this seems like just to be the same couple angles from all. I mean, I know it's probably what, moving us over like maybe one or two houses every time, perhaps, for every one of these. I was kind of hoping maybe we could get like a closer look. But, all right, yeah, so it seems like what this is there's probably a handful of different views of around this time, which I got to say, kind of weird. I don't know. This is all we have so far as placing this guy is one neighborhood somewhere, some like videos of a car driving through and a person walking. Okay. I mean, I don't know. It's also weird that the car drives because so when you have we have the what was it 9:57? Oh, let's look at these times. So see when the car drives by. Okay, here's the person walking. So let's go back to the walking. Let's see if it has a time. Oh, it doesn't have the timestamp here. Let me see. See if I can get a timestamp on the walk because I think that's interesting. So we have like 9, I think, what is this, the walk right here? So I think it's like almost 10-ish when he's walking. And then let's go see if we can find the car.
While this is playing,
so
get started on.
So the car is around 8:22-ish, I guess. So then, yeah, I guess so there's like an hour period. But so I guess the idea is that he parked his car somewhere and then walked back or something. I don't know. Anyways, or maybe him parking when he came in at first. I don't really understand. So we have essentially him coming one way, it looks like, down the street in the car around 8:22. And then like an hour or so later at 9:50, about an hour and a half later, he walks back by through, I believe, this looks, I mean, it could be a different neighborhood, but I'm not entirely sure. But either way, so that's what we have. We have him walking, doesn't look like him. All right, let's move on. Just sorry, I know that's probably a little boring for some of them, but I really wanted to look at that. So this is what we have so far. This is what we have to show that this is Tyler Robinson. This is what this is sitting on. All right. Well, on that, let's go over to Erica Kirk. Let's check in on that. Let's go jack off together. Just ask some questions. The questions we're not supposed to ask, but let's go ahead and watch this. Got James Lee that'll go ahead and give you kind of a little preamble before we really dig into this. Let's go and play it.
This woman is hiding something very, very dark. Okay, despite the mainstream fact checkers telling us there's nothing to see here regarding some pretty heinous allegations, I'm here to tell you that the evidence is actually all there.
Believe that we all have angels in our lives. And these are my little angels from Antonio Placement Center in Constanța, Romania.
This is from a Romanian newspaper. This headline is translated, but it reads, a former translator from the American base in the city of Romania that I'm not going to pronounce, accuses, and she says that it's a real brothel operated here where minors were brought in. Quote, Anna Maria Nasiu was until recent years a translator at the American base, once again, city, can't pronounce it, Romanian name. Everything seemed to be normal until Anna Maria discovered that in this military unit belonging to NATO forces, there was a real brothel where underage girls came to satisfy the desires of some soldiers, especially the commander of the Black Sea Area Support Team base, Otto Buscher. Okay, Otto Buscher, remember that name. This next part is where the dots will connect. Okay, I'm gonna show you this video right here that was posted by Erica Kirk, then Erica Fransby, on Vimeo. Basically, it's a commercial for Romanian Angels, and it was posted in 2013. It's basically a fluff video, but at the end, the person she thanks is none other than Colonel Otto Buscher. Yeah, here is a copy of the criminal complaint. It is in Romanian, but you can see the name Otto Buscher, and the years 2011 to 2013 is when these alleged crimes took place. So the person that Erica Kirk was working with in Romania to quote unquote help orphan children was accused of, yeah, not good. And you might be like, why have I never heard of this? Well, there's something called the U.S.-Romania Defense Cooperation Agreement that was signed back in 2005, wherein crimes committed by U.S. military personnel on Romanian bases used by U.S. forces fall under U.S. jurisdiction, especially if they occur while on duty or within the installations. So essentially, everything was just swept under the rug. This guy, Otto Buscher, just retires, and according to my research, here's his LinkedIn, he's like having a nice, quiet retirement in New Hampshire. Erica Kirk's Romanian Angels mysteriously just shuts down shortly thereafter. She then keeps a pretty low profile until she is set up on a TPUSA interview with Charlie Kirk, and they fall in love, they get married, and you won't believe this, but their wedding was actually funded by TPUSA, so very interesting. And fast forward, as we all know now, Charlie Kirk dies a gruesome death, and she takes over as CEO of Turning Point with the new organization.
I mean, to be fair, her everything was funded by TPUSA. I mean, I don't know. A weird side point for me to jump in on, but I don't know. Just that weirded me out. Like, oh, it was funded by TPUSA. Like, okay. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know the way their money was work and what's improper or what this or that, but it's like, I mean, like, yeah, he ran that organization. That's where all the money came from. But yeah, I get it, obviously implying some sort of like, I don't know, untowardness or something. I don't know. Whatever. All right, let's finish the last 10 seconds of this.
Much more powerful than it ever was. So it's almost like Charlie is more valuable to them dead than alive. Something just feels wrong here.
All right, let's dig into it. Sorry, I was still chewing. I was eating my bacon. All right, I'm back. All right, now more on this. Let's dig in a little bit deeper. Here's Destiny Resendez, independent researcher. Now here she is dropping some receipts on the Kirk situation. So she says, Erica, Kirk, Israel, Romania, the connection with receipts. The Black Sea Rotational Force 13, BSRF 13, was the unit led by Colonel Otto Buscher III, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure if I remember, I'm pretty sure rotational force. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. It sounds like just like a deployment band or something. So maybe they're got their terms incorrectly. Whatever. Maybe that is the name of a unit. Perhaps. But it was led by Colonel Otto Buscher III, who was the unit that assisted Erica Kirk, who I guess says NE France, in the Romanian Angels program. Here is pictures of this. Here's Erica in these photos from April 2013, the Antonio Placement Center in Constanta, Romania. And so you can see all these younger people and some young kids. And so, yeah, here's the people there. Here's Lori, whoever that is, Corinna, Tracy, which I'm assuming these are people that play a part of it. This is verifiable for April 2013, according to the government. So we can show, and here is the Black Sea Rotational Force 13, the United Hands Romania. Here is the U.S. Marine Corps Wesley Lanier. He shows in the pictures of him here. Colonel Otto Buscher, which I will go ahead and say just physiognomy right off the jump, not being the accusations. They're the one that they all really accused of stuff. He was Lieutenant J.G. Daniel Clark, who's the chaplain. This guy, and then U.S. Navy Petty Officer James Larson, which I don't know. The off chance any of you guys, if there are any of you guys out there that watch this show, they're one of these people or know these people, feel free to come on. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what happened over in Romania. And here's also U.S. Navy Petty Officer James Larson again. Just more photos, just confirming these are the people, I guess. And then now, it says, now besides her mother's, Lori. Oh, that's who Lori was. So that's, if we go back to this previous photo over here, the one I mentioned, Lori, that's the mother. I know it's grainy, not a greatest photo, but there you go. There's the mom. So you can get a vibe of what she looks like, at least. Now, Destiny says, now beside her mother's long history with the DOD in Israel, this mission was also surrounded by IDF. Because just weeks later, for the 3 months following Erica's arrival in Romania with BSRF-13, the next assignment for the BSRF-13 was in Camp Adam, which is an Israeli unit. So essentially, she went. So her next assignment, months after being in Romania, the next assignment was over in Camp Adam, so over with Israel. So a direct connection from one to the other. It says Camp Adam's an elite training force in Israel. The IDF trained the BSRF-13 for months immediately following Erica's arrival. And then all images provided by the DOW and DVIDS to confirm this alliance, she says. And there's more photos of, from all this stuff. She provides her sources as well. But I want to dig a little bit deeper into this. Here's just some random account on here. John, bunch of numbers. With 30 followers, and man, that's half the time where you find the best stuff. Here is one person replying to this Destiny Lady stuff, and he says, Pastor Greg Laurie is the senior pastor of Harvest Christian Fellowship. Lawsuits were filed in September 2025 against former Harvest Riverside pastor Paul Havsgaard, accusing him of severe abuse of children at a shelter in Romania where Havsgaard and other members of Harvest Riverside Church participated in missionary activities. The lawsuits also named the church's founder and senior pastor, Greg Laurie, a well-known evangelist and author, as well as other senior church leaders claiming they failed to prevent abuse. He goes, the U.S. military base installed in Romania in 1999. Then the Harvest Christian Fellowship create the orphanages from 2000 to 2007. Now, to be clear, I did look to see, not deeply, just quickly, just be like if there's some apparent connection, like missing, as if they're like, this was like, say this was the Harvest Riverside, whatever was like her church or who she came with or whatever. I didn't see anything like that, but people are just kind of roughly connecting dots. They're in roughly the same area around roughly the same times. And here is a religious group with accusations of impropriety, and the timing matches up. Like I said, this Christian Fellowship creates the orphanages from 2000 2007. Just before that, the military base was made in 99. Then just right basically after these orphanages are created, Erica's Everyday Heroes Like You is incorporated in 2007. And now let's read this article from Christianity Today, which the timing of this I found to be particularly interesting. This dropped like September 18th, so like a week after Kirk's death, probably unrelated. But let's look into this together. It says Harvest Christian Fellowship accused of negligence in Romania. And so 2 Romanian men claim a church in California is responsible for the fact that they were repeatedly raped as children in orphanages in the Eastern European countries. Okay, that's the claim. 2 Romanian men are making this claim. They say Harvest Christian Fellowship and its leaders, including evangelist and Calvary Chapel pastor Greg Laurie, should have known what was happening and stopped it. Marian Barbu and Mihai Constantin Petcu are plaintiffs in 2 lawsuits filed in federal court in California this week. They allege negligence and seek damages from Laurie and Harvest Christian Fellowship, who supported the Romanian ministries along with former pastors Richard Schute and Paul Havsgaard. Their suits do not offer evidence that Laurie knew of the abuse allegations, but blame him nonetheless. Senior Christian Fellowship, in a statement to CT, called the lawsuits sensational and a form of financial extortion. The allegations are serious and disturbing, but the target here should be the alleged perpetrator, not our church. This misplaced lawsuit wrongly targets Harvest and our pastor. Paul Havsgaard, who worked at the Riverside, California church for about 20 years, went on to start 10 orphanages in Romania in the late 90s and early 2000s. He allegedly used them to sexually abuse scores of children. The abuse was savage and prolific, according to the lawsuits, terrorizing the boys and girls who came to Harvest homes because they were desperate and the ministry promised them hamburgers and a safe place to sleep. I know what God wants, Havsgaard allegedly told children as young as 8. What I want, God wants. Harvest Christian Fellowship supported the orphanages financially, but did not provide any oversight, according to attorney Jan Cervenka. The lawsuits argue the church and its pastors knew of allegations against Havsgaard before he went to Romania in 1998 and were told in 2004 of awful accusations of the orphanages, but chose to ignore them. They did nothing to protect the children there, Cervenka told the court. Despite proof that Havsgaard was a devious and unrelenting pedophile, Harvest Riverside, Laurie, and Schute did nothing. They did not fire, suspend, withdraw, or discipline Havsgaard. They neither reported him to the authorities, as was their duty under California law, nor instituted any new policies or procedures at the Harvest homes. Cervenka's firm, McAllister Oliverius, said it expects to file 20 additional suits with additional victims who were raised in the Romanian orphanages in the coming weeks. Holy shit. Okay, well, that could be pretty big. The defendants in this case have not yet responded to lawsuits in court or identified legal representatives. Havsgaard could not be reached for comment. Schute, who went on to pastor a Bible church, also could not be reached for comment. The church acknowledged it did fund Havsgaard's orphanages. It also acknowledged it didn't provide oversight, but rejected arguments it was responsible for oversight of the Eastern European ministry. The orphanages were run through the nonprofit Actively Restoring Kids International, which Havsgaard set up independent of the church. Online archives of the Harvest Christian Fellowship website lists Havsgaard as a minister in 2001, but not in spring 2002. When a denominational magazine profiled the work Havsgaard was doing in Romania in the winter of 2001, it encouraged people to donate and gave a phone number. The number belonged to Harvest Christian Fellowship's main office in Riverside, California. The following year, when another Calvary Chapel minister working in Romania heard reports of Havsgaard's abuse, he thought he should report to Harvest Christian Fellowship. He doesn't need to be another day in Romania, Pastor Steve Quarles told Schute, according to lawsuits. He needs to be gone. He's an embarrassment to every single missionary and Christian worker. Get him out of here. Quarles and 2 other pastors did an audit of Havsgard Ministry in 2004 and found extensive evidence of abuse according to the lawsuits. Children in the homes reportedly talked about sexual abuse openly, discussing it with each other and adults they trusted on staff. The audit also turned up receipts showing Havsgard took some of the boys to nearby hotels and purchased snacks and alcohol after midnight, the lawsuits say. Shute, the missions pastor of Harvest Christian Fellowship and a member of Havsgard's boat, reportedly received the results of the international investigation November 2004. He allegedly didn't do anything and continued to direct funds to the ministry for 4 years. Harvest Christian Fellowship has 21 days to respond to the court summons. It said the lawsuit's claims are absolutely and entirely false, and some of it is plainly slanderous. We thank God for courts of law, the church said. We expect to vigorously defend against these claims. So, I mean, obviously this says there's no direct connection between them and TPUSA, but we don't even know for sure this is the case, but here are claims of horrific abuse during the time frame through religious organizations during that rough time frame over in Romania. And then kind of drawing rough connections as well. I know we covered the other day the weird some of the weird Google searches out and about out there that I don't know, made people a little bit concerned as to hey, why is it all these people over in Israel like a month or so prior to the death of Charlie Kirk had a bunch of really specific searches that don't seem to make sense in that time frame to do, since it is before anyone would be looking up very, very specific search terms related to Charlie Kirk's death. So yeah, and then there was that subsequent story of, oh wow, it looks like the internet's just a self-deleting itself for some reason. And there was a lot of people who have said like, well, in order for this to happen, well, you would need somebody at the tippy top. You would need some sort of legal action. You would need something crazy. Like, this doesn't just happen. The internet just doesn't disappear itself like that. Because I think it was particularly Google, I think is what it was. Google search results. Well, this isn't necessarily 100% connected. We don't know this for sure. Ironically, I found this in relation to another story, but I kind of want to roughly sort of connect these stories because it ties into the influencer games as well. We were just talking about. But if you're talking about how do these sort of things happen, I think it also plays into it pretty well. Here is from the Zionism Observer. They're saying Nathan Pachman is head of Google's Trust and Safely, so was likely the person responsible for Google's complicity here. Nathan Pachman worked at ADL before Google. Now, first off, before we continue to comment on this, just physiognomy off the jump. I don't even really need to talk about this. You could just look at it and go, okay. Like, this is like, I don't know, like the Jays have like instituted goy slop in order to facilitate like procreation, and this is what it created. Like, he's some sort of weird Jay goy slop creation. Like, this is like a human goy slop, basically, is what he is. Just look at him and you'll see what I mean. But what they're referring to here was this Google, apparently, this was back in October 15th, a couple days ago. This was reported on by the UN that Google allowed Israel to run YouTube ads claiming there is no food in Gaza as the famine was at its height. The Google was running these ads, and they were able to slip this through. But and what they're saying here is that essentially would have required, they would have been the head of Google's Trust and Safety that would likely had something to do with that. And here's the guy. Well, what I want to say is, if the internet is just disappearing, particularly Google searches, there's a chance maybe this is the guy too. And even if he isn't, I just think it's worthwhile to at least kind of look at and as an example of like, look at this. It doesn't end here. Let's keep going. Here's a screen capture of his LinkedIn from about a month ago. You can see here, there's Nathan Pachman. You see lead policy strategist, trust and safety, senior. And you can see 2 different positions over at the ADL he held as well. And then he said, and then also kind of finishing it off, should mention this is David Pachman's brother. And here's an article about David Pachman. David threatened to slap or a strategic lawsuit against public participation, targeting the reporter who wrote it. So, and this is the article. A dark money group is secretly. What is it with me slipping into lisp mode lately? I've been doing secretly. I don't know. I think like literally like a few days ago, I like literally jokingly did like one of those, like an over the top lispy thing. And I do have a little bit of a lisp, but I'm pretty good at keeping it on lock. And I like jokingly did it, and now I find myself like accidentally just slipping into it now. I don't know. I think it's, anyways, side point. I just noticed I've done it like 5 times in this episode. Anyways, David Pakman, I guess he threatened a lawsuit for someone who was suing this. It was a story. I don't think we really covered it on this show, but there was like dark money groups. There was a lot of these, particularly in regards to Zionism, a lot of Democrat holdouts, and there was a story coming from their side of this like dark money kind of doing this sort of stuff. David Pakman being one of them. But here's the clip of David Pakman essentially threatening legal action here. So let's go ahead and play this. Of course, once I fix StreamYard, give me a second. But yeah, here we go.
Have to talk. Well, I hate to start a show like this, but I do have to talk today about a defamation lawsuit. After Wired published a piece last week that made a number of untrue allegations and implications about me and other creators, claiming I'm taking money in exchange for letting someone dictate the content of this show or restrict what I'm talking about, and many other claims and implications. A whole bunch of you wrote to me and said, David, are you going to sue for defamation? Suing for defamation and winning is really the way to take control back and to prove that you didn't do the things you're accused of. Now, it's a fair question, and I want to talk about that today. I didn't even plan on mentioning this entire fiasco again, but it really has taken on a life of its own. Over the last few days, I've consulted with some of the top defamation attorneys in the country, lawyers who have won some of the largest verdicts, I think, in U.S. history. And I've been advised this could take 6 figures in legal fees just to get to the end without even a guarantee of getting the money back, right? I am not litigious by nature. I think all of you know that. I've never sued anybody. It would be stressful. It would be time consuming.
So there's David Pakman threatening to sue over people saying that perhaps he has some improper incentives in place due to some, I don't know, money he's concealing from his audience. Well, ironically, at the same time, his brother works for Google and is a former employee of the ADL. So unsurprised, and then completely unrelated. Here's Newsmax sharing an ad. They're putting out ad spaces on Twitter for pieces about Kirk and his unwavering support for Israel. Still, despite the current situation, this is what's being floated out by the pro-Zionists. Fun times. Still not getting with the program, but I'm sure that's completely unrelated. All right, let's roll through the chat and check in on you guys. Actually, I think I was falling through the chat. Never mind. We're pretty good there. Let's go ahead and jump into the final story. This one will be pretty short, but just more or less letting you guys know a thing that happened. We will probably maybe we'll dig into this more on this show if there's anything worthwhile. But we got the JFK Files again. So here we go. This is from MJ Truth Ultra here saying the Russian files regarding JFK assassination has been released in its original form. They haven't been transcribed to PDF English yet. But anyways, point being here is him sharing that they dropped the JFK Russia files. Like, this is a thing that Representative Anna Paulina was working in the background. I still think she's a dumb whore. So I just think this is probably more distraction stuff. I highly doubt there's probably much in here. I wouldn't be surprised if we find onesie, twosies, interesting stuff in here. But here's Anna Luna from yesterday saying the following report referencing the JFK assassination was delivered to me by the ambassador from Russia and is now made accessible to the American public at the link below. These documents have not been edited, redacted, or tampered with, but appear in their original form as delivered to me. While experts are actively authenticating the legitimacy of these documents, at this time they are believed to be authentic. Now the American people have full, unrestricted access to decide for themselves. Like she said, though, they didn't mess with it all, so we do just have a bunch of Russian-ass documents, as you can see right here. But, I mean, I think we have a little bit of stuff that has come out so far. Let's see what this guy has to say, and I would expect perhaps future shows, maybe if there's anything interesting, that we will cover it on this show. But just to let you guys know, this is a thing that's happening. Let's read this post from MJ Truth Ultra to see what they've extrapolated out of this so far. Here's his update. It says Russian intelligence doubted Oswald's involvement in Kennedy assassination, timeline contradictions, evidence issues, and custody failures. FBI pre-assassination attention. Despite immediate verifications before President Kennedy's arrival, the FBI began paying attention to Oswald's meeting with Oswald 2 weeks prior, but did not detain him. Oswald's alibi and timeline conflicts. Oswald denied that at the moment of purchase he was in the premises of the cinematography, claiming he was in the cinema. Contradictions emerged as a woman from the rooming house saw him entering the house right after 12:45 p.m. on November 22nd, while police placed him in the building of the cinematography, i.e. in the area of 12 quarters from his home. This creates a significant inconsistency. If the woman saw Oswald entering his home at 45, he could not have been at the depository firing shots at the exact moment, given the distance, 12 blocks, and the time it would take to travel between the two locations. So that's pretty significant. If we can find, maybe we can get some researchers digging on that, because that would be pretty nuts. Essentially looking like, yep, more and more, not Oswald. Magic bullet and shooting feasibility. The projectile found in Kennedy and Connolly, comparatively large spread, moving chain, nowhere. Any trace of time suggested advanced ballistics. The fact that the path of the wound coming from greater accuracy was only recently charged and not found in the machine friends indicated high mastery of stereophony, though it was predetermined that Oswald's rifle skills were questioned. With a sequence of 3 shots in 5 seconds seemed nearly impossible without a special object, which police have not excluded. Witness testimonies on Oswald's skills. Family opinion claimed Oswald was a very good rifleman, yet elderly witnesses, as claimed presented by Americans wanting to testify, noted the difficulty of the rapid firing sequence. The security failures during Oswald's custody, despite police acceptance of measurements or of measures to protect the premises from outsiders, Jack Ruby managed to secretly penetrate, even though many police knew his face and were aware of his doubtful process. A Ruby, holder of nightclubs in Dallas with close connections to Sicilian gangsters, arrested several times in recent years after anonymous messages warned of a murder attempt during Oswald's transfer. I do find the Sicilian connection interesting. I've been mentioning a lot recently once I found out about Jeffrey Epstein's stay in the Iranian consulate, about the odd Sicilian connections, because I believe the Sicilian mafia, if I recall correctly, was running heroin out of pizza places, and I believe it was the 80s, I think, in like the around that time. And it just so happened that Jeffrey Epstein, living in the Iranian consulate, was subletting out to one of the main lawyers of the French connection, which was which was a huge, at the time, scandal, like I said, of Sicilian gangsters running heroin out of pizza places. Obviously, the symbolism speaks for itself there. Pizzas, child molester, Israel, everything. And I just find it interesting that I didn't realize that Ruby's, the gangsters Ruby was connected to, were Sicilian as well. You can probably put those Sicilians in 3 parentheses. But expect more perhaps to come out. For example, here's one right here I thought was interesting. I saw earlier from new JFK/KGB Files, Moscow, dated November 1963. The villainous murder of President Kennedy causes indignation against the perpetrators of this heinous crime. And here is actually the excerpt in question here, and it looks a little funny here because I think it's essentially. I think what we're looking at here is some sort of like translation thing. So I figured I'd read this one because I thought it was interesting, because I think this is pretty much their essentially Russian response, one of their initial responses to it. So this is resolution of the Presidium of the CPSU Central Committee about the events in connection with the assassination of U.S. President John F. Kennedy. This is from November 23rd, 1963. It says, 1, to approve the text of the telegram of the chairman of the Council of Ministers of the USSR, Khrushchev, addressed to the President of the United States, L.B. Johnson. Keep in mind, this was originally in Russian, so some of this translation might be a little rough. 2, to approve the text of the telegram of the chairman of the Presidium of the Supreme Soviet of the USSR. Brezhnev, addressed to the President of the U.S., L.B. Johnson. 3, to approve the text of the telegram of the chairman of the Council of Masses, USSR. 4 to approve the text telegram. Okay, these are just like, I think, defining what they're trying to do here. 5 to approve the text telegram, yada, yada. 6, all right, bam. The telegram. And 7 is where this matters here. It says to instruct the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the USSR, Gromyko AA, to visit the U.S. ambassador to Moscow, F. Kohler, and express to him the deep condolences of the Soviet government in connection with the villainous murder of the U.S. President JFK. Then it goes on further. Washington White House, deeply saddened by the news of the tragic death of an outstanding state figure, President of the United States of America, Mr. John F. Kennedy. Death of JFK is a heavy blow to all people who are expensive. And it goes on. A matter of peace and Soviet-American cooperation, the villainous murder of the President of the United States at a time as a result of the efforts of peace-loving peoples, signs of easing international tensions have emerged, and the prospect of improving relations between the USSR and the United States has opened up, causes indignation among the Soviet people against the perpetrators of this heinous crime. Now, the Post did try to infer from this means that they knew it came from within America. I don't necessarily think so, but I do think it's interesting to see where their head was at, and also references to kind of how the tensions were improving. I've never been one who really bought too much into the Russia connection here, but I do think it's interesting. Hey, this stuff's out there. Yeah. All right, let's roll through the chat one last time, and then let's get out of here. I see a lot of people talking about water being a right, all that good stuff. What else is in here? Gerald, as you guys know, Billy Graham is a friend of the British monarchy, right? Oh, no way. He never did a bad thing. Ever. All right, what else we got in here? Minority Report precog look, says Mustache, speaking about David Pacman's brother. Yeah, his goofy-looking guy. You have Justin Valentine also shot a cop for some reason. Was it J.D. Tippett or not? Am I mixing up things now? Is it Tippett? Officer Tippett, right? Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. All right. Well, let's roll. Actually, I already rolled through the chat. Well, then I guess let's get out of here, guys. We're all caught up. We'll be back either Monday or Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern. I should have I think maybe I'll drop my Years of Lead episode for Monday. If you're a patron, you would have got that earlier. But for those who want to support what I'm doing over here, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. Follow me on Twitter at TowerGangJose. The show, you can find it on Rumble, YouTube, anywhere podcasters or what am I saying? Anywhere podcasts are at. What the fuck is going on with me? I'll also put it out on X. If you want to support the show in the best way you really can, you can do that with money over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. The lowest level is $2. That's where you get access to a whole host of episodes. Usually do about 1 to 2 episodes per week. Keep out 4 behind the paywall at any given time usually. So that's weeks of paywalled content. You also get access to an ad-free RSS feed. You get access to Telegram. You get access to pre-show, post-show, and video calls from me and Austin's weekly live call-in show, Already Dead, which is on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And the highest level is my sponsors, and I give them a big shout-out every episode as a thank you for everything they do. I have my previous co-hosts on Untitled Gang, at Learn to Toad, also at ApplegateDs, at ZOVRCK, at _Fazil, Tim Tuttle, at Jalan Klebold, Will Bells, Delicious Blueberry Rabbit Wine, big fan of the show, Torme, at Wayne Taculus, the Yellow Polka Dot Dress, and Mark Vestibule. And with that, guys, enjoy these outros and get a couple good laughs. I think you'll like it. Big thanks to Marjan for this first one. I have two for you guys on the way out. I hope you enjoy them. Here's what dinosaur experts be sounding like. No, it's really
30 miles, so they would look 30 miles in the distance and see what they. This one right here, this one's one of my favorites right here. This is the Abelisaurus. They used to wake up at 7 a.m. and they could see 30 miles, so they would look 30 miles in the distance and see what they wanted for breakfast.
How did you know that? How did you figure that out?
I'm actually glad you asked. So, based on the bones, we could tell that they were waking up at 7 a.m.
I'm confused. How did scientists figure out how far they could see?
Man, I'm glad you asked. So, as you can see by the bones, right there, and then you come to the conclusion based on scientific evidence of the bone. Based on the bones,
yeah,
you could tell this animal had a bite force.
There's got to be like
equivalent of the weight of the Earth.
I'm confused.
Conclusively, on its hind legs, it was half the size of the tower. and it weighed 50 million pounds.
How do you know that? And maybe don't say bones. Like, is there any other? Was there like a?
Okay, so let me break this down right here. Yeah. Based on the bones, this animal, it actually took this animal 10 days to digest its food, but it only ate leaves and dandelions. We know this because of the bones. This is the Allobortosaurus right here.
It's an Allosaurus.
It's the Allobortosaurus right here. Other dinosaurs would ride this dinosaur. They would all wake up at 8:30 a.m. and they would ride this dinosaur to school. They actually had an education system, which you can tell because of the bones.
All right, enjoy this last one. I'll see you guys next week. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Love you all. Bye-bye. Listen to Kitties Explain Autism, and I don't know, I think we'll all feel a little bit better, feel recognized, feel seen after seeing this kitty video. Love you all. See you soon.
Explains autism. So, Kitty's brain, it runs on a different operating system. Not better, not worse, just built different. Loud noises, panic. Tags in shirts, crime against kitty kind. Eye contact, that's for braver cats. Kitty loves routines. Same snack, same show, same cozy corner, forever please. Unexpected change, cue internal screaming. Don't ask Kitty to just go with the flow. Kitty is the flow now. And when Kitty talks about a special interest, buckle up. You're getting the TED Talk, the sequel, and the bonus commentary. Talking 27 tabs open, all facts, no breaks. Sometimes Kitty masks to fit in, smiles at the right time, nods when confused, pretends the world isn't too loud, too fast, too much. It 100% is. Behind that is a brilliant brain. Not broken, just wired for deep focus, big feelings, and detective-level pattern spotting. Kitty notices everything. Kitty might need extra patience, but gives ride or die loyalty. So if you know an autistic kitty, be kind. Let them be weird. Let them talk about frogs for 47 minutes. They're not broken. They're just tuned to a different frequency.